This is The Sports Life.
At the Smart, baseline jump shot in the air, good! 4 seconds, 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1. The Hoosiers have won the national championship. I hope this team will show you that when you've got some problems of your own, and when things aren't going really well for you, you can tighten your belt a little bit and get the ball to Keith Smart, and things will come out all right.
And welcome into the Sports Life. We'll team in here along with Dalton Shetler. That last voice you heard was indeed Bobby Knight. And he was right. Give it to Keith Smart. That's all you got to do. He'll make the jumper in the corner and give you a national championship in 1987. And, of course, for Don Fisher, that was his third call of a national championship game that Indiana won.
And here he is still today in the college football playoffs calling games for Indiana football. That's just remarkable to think about.
And at some point, he's going to wake up and wonder if it was all a dream.
No kidding.
You know? Well, on this week's show, it has a definite Indiana flavor and a good one. 1945 was the last time the Hoosiers won the Big Ten football championship outright. 1945. So most of us don't know much about that team, but a fellow by the name of Mark Deal sure does, and we're going to talk to him about it.
Weird. Only 80 years ago, 8 decades, and World War II was taking place.
And I'm sure you're going to make a crack. You weren't there, Will? You didn't cover that one? No, I didn't.
It felt like low-hanging fruit. I left that one alone.
Thank you.
But you're right. There is a lot of Indiana to this week's show. Matter of fact, we were thinking about as we were talking and brainstorming about the shows. Of course, Indiana is really the talk of the college sports world with everything they've done the last couple of years. But where did it start? And it started with Indiana head coach Curt Cignetti when he was hired a couple of years ago. Will, you and I had an opportunity to sit down with him shortly after he was hired there at those Big Ten Media Days. We're going to revisit that conversation to see what that sounds like now with the hindsight of the fact that they're Big Ten champs this year and how that all sounded when he was first hired. But also we're going to throw back in time to 1976, not quite as far as 45, but 50 years ago, half a century. The Indiana Hoosiers are the last undefeated Division I men's basketball national champion to go start to finish with winning a national title, winning every single game, and we're going to celebrate them later on in the show as well.
Well, the leader of that pack was a guy named Bobby Knight.
He sure was. What an icon. And matter of fact, when Bob Knight passed away just a couple of years ago, here on the Sports Life, we put together a collage, a tribute of sounds from Bob Knight during his legendary career. It's a couple of minutes long, and we thought, why not bring that back out to really put a bow and get things, quite frankly, started for this Indiana-themed Sports Life show. So here are some of the best of Bob Knight.
This is the worst defense we've played all year. You're letting them do anything they want to do. Last, you're not getting any pressure on anybody. You're not dropping back in to help out.
Indiana's number one. They've won it. Indiana's won it. They're the national champions for 1976. Can you believe it? Incredible.
The final result in 1976 was a very satisfying thing for all of us involved. It was sort of a culmination of a lot of work and a lot of effort on the parts of a lot of people.
You know, I'm the only person that has to be comfortable with me. No, I'm like you guys are. I'm going to tell you something, see? You guys get a bad typewriter, you know, and you're in the keys stuck, son of a bitch, and you say, damn typewriter, Christ, and now you chew out somebody's ass. You know, you chew out some kid that screws up your getting something to somebody on time. Well, see, what you do when you guys get upset, you don't do it before 18,000 people, so it isn't news.
At the Smart, baseline jump shot in the air, good! 4 seconds, 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1. The Hoosiers have won the national championship.
I hope this team will show you that when you've got some problems of your own, and when things aren't going really well for you, you can tighten your belt a little bit and get the ball to Keith Smart, and things will come out all right. We look back over the players that we've had, and I love Alan Henderson. One of my favorite players. Cheney, Woodson, there are a ton of them. But I leave you with this, and then I turn it over first to Patrick and then to Alan. I do leave you with this thought. Patrick Knight is my all-time favorite Indiana player.
Abraham Lincoln once said that when it comes time for me to lay down the reins of this administration, and only one person is satisfied with what I've done, and that person resides deep within me, then I'll be satisfied.
When my time on earth is gone and my activities here are past, I want they bury me upside down and my critics can kiss my ass.
Some of the great quotes of Bobby Knight throughout his career. Dalton, did I ever tell you the last time I talked to him?
I don't think so.
Okay. So he agreed to do a pregame interview for this game we were going to do that involved Indiana. And he said, well, we're on the phone. He goes, how many questions? I go, 3. 3? Yeah, I think 3 will do it. We'll get the crew there. Well, 3. Okay. He said, let's say, okay, after our walk through, meet me in the tunnel. And we'll do it right there. Great. We're there. He comes out. And by the way, he always treated me well. Mm-hmm. I know there's some other stories, but he was always good to me. Okay. So here we go. I get to my third question, and he hangs the answer. He doesn't answer it. He hangs it. And so I've got to come with a fourth question. What does that mean? He goes, Will, that's 4. You only get 3. And he patted me on the top of the head like a pet dog. That's the last time I had a chance to talk to him. Well, when we come back, we're going to talk about maybe the Bobby Knight of Indiana football. It's all coming up in just a moment.
So, got one for you, boss.
Oh, yeah?
What's black, white, and dented all over?
I give up.
The company truck. I know, but thanks to our agent, we've already submitted an insurance claim and can track the status right from the app. Auto owners pays what they owe without any hassle.
Lucky for you, that's simple human sense.
Ask your independent agent if auto owners make sense for you.
Medicaid and CHIP offer free or low-cost health coverage for children and teens. Hospital and doctor visits, prescriptions, shots, and more are covered. That's peace of mind for parents if a child is sick or gets injured. And parents may now be eligible for Medicaid too, even if they've applied in the past. Enrollment is always open. Visit insurekidsnow.gov or call 1-877-KIDS-NOW. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
If you have diabetes, listen up. If you have insurance, you can qualify for a continuous glucose monitor. With a CGM, you can continuously track your levels and trends and spend more time in range, significantly lowering your A1C. More importantly, a CGM eliminates the one thing most people with diabetes hate, painful finger sticks. Order your new continuous glucose monitor today. If you use insulin and if you've seen your diabetes care provider within the last 6 months, you may qualify for your own CGM right now. We'll do all the insurance paperwork and deliver your new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost to you. Medicare and most insurances will cover your CGM, so don't wait. Have your insurance handy and call the Aptiva Medical CGM Health Hotline right now.
800-948-6912. 800-948-6912. 800-948-6912. That's 800-948-6912.
We'll be back with more in a moment. This is The Sports Life.
Roxanne Watson is on a mission.
Hello, how are you doing today?
She wants more people to register as organ, eye, and tissue donors.
Are you an organ donor?
Yes, I am.
Yay.
My goal is to sign up the most people in the United States.
What drives her? Roxanne's own life was saved through the gift of a heart transplant, made possible by an organ donor.
I decided that day that I was going to devote myself to the cause of organ donation and signing people up and honoring my donor by doing that.
Now she's back to health, and she's a powerful force helping to save lives every day through her work. Imagine what you can make possible by leaving behind the gift of life.
8 people can be helped with the major organs, and up to 50 people can be helped with a little bit of everything. And when you think about it that way, that you could help that many people, it's amazing. It really is.
Learn more and sign up as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. Go to organdonor.gov. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Health Resources and Services Administration.
And welcome back for more of the Sports Life. Will Tiemann here along with Dalton Shetler. And don't forget, Auto Owners Insurance, simple human sense. Ask your independent agent if Auto Owners makes sense for you. There's been a great deal of discussion, as everybody knows, about the Indiana football program and its head coach, Curt Cignetti. And why not? I mean, they're 2 years into this thing, just having a great time, winning a Big Ten championship, beating Ohio State, all these things. So Dalton and I were noodling around thinking, wouldn't it be fun to go back and hear what he was saying before it all started? So what we did, we went back to an interview we did with Curt during the Big Ten Media Days, 2024, July of that year. And we just thought it'd be fun to hear what he said before it all started. Well, here's how that chat went. Well, Curt, I guess I'll ask you the same question we asked Jonathan Smith at Michigan State, which was, how's it going? You've been about 8 months on the job, and you got some work to do. How's it been?
You know, it's good. I think we've made a lot of progress. It's other than December, which was turbulent because my first day on campus, we had 10 offensive starters in the transfer portal and half our defense. But we had a great December. As 3 weeks, 22 new guys. And really from that point on, it's been really, from my standpoint, pretty smooth because I've had great continuity on my staff. You know, my D coordinator's been with me 10 years, my O coordinator 9, not in those particular roles. And my strength and conditioning guys going on 5 or 6. And that really helps because we all know how we do things. So, and the new people I'm breaking in are sort of lower tier. And, you know, that we've got the right guys in the program and they've responded. We're not there yet, but nobody is right now. That's why you practice in August and you got a lot of new guys. So December was a different story. You know, like this happened fast. I took the job about a 3-day process. I didn't know we had all these guys in the portal, and they didn't tell me, and I wouldn't have either. And so, you know, you're doing a lot of things those first 10 days. And then one day you wake up and you realize, I got about 38 guys on scholarship. Holy cow, what am I going to do? But it all came together, and the JMU thing helped accelerate it. That wasn't the plan. I didn't know all those guys would go in the portal like they did. They're all good players, too. But the guys we got were all 2-3-year stars from the other schools, too, with really good production numbers. And so, you know, we got to take a step in August. You know, every team, you know, you got to improve upon the things that determine success, the intangibles, strengthen the intangibles, day-to-day consistency, and then put it on the field. I think we've improved quite a bit, but we haven't played a game.
It's kind of interesting. You mentioned the personnel changes. That just seems to be the lay of the land in college football right now. Everybody's changing so many pieces, even after spring football. Like, what do we really have? And I guess maybe we'll all find out at the same time.
Yeah, you got to be light on your feet, that's for sure. I tell you what, it makes the spring opponent scout a lot tougher because you don't know who's on the team.
So you've had great success, Curt, everywhere you've been, and there's got to be some kind of formula to that. And so what is some of your keys? Because you've had good teams.
Yeah, you know, I learned a lot from Nick at Bama. My dad was a coach, Hall of Fame coach, but I never worked for him. And, you know, recruiting, development, now retention, right? We're very process-oriented. You know, high standards, expectations, accountability throughout the organization. It's all about the people you hire and recruit. And me creating the environment as a leader where they can thrive. I let coaches do their job, so I kind of coach the coaches. You know, line of scrimmage, turnover ratio, explosives, smart, discipline, poised, fast, physical, relentless, one play at a time. We got a blueprint. We got a philosophy. We're all on the same page. I put a lot of time into my messaging. I don't say a lot. I try to make my words count when I'm talking to the team because once they stop listening to you, boy, you're in trouble. I'm a short practice guy. You know, I have never used 15 practices in the spring or 25 in fall camp. I try to keep them fresh, healthy. You know, we've had some good players. We've won close games. You got to win close games. You know, like last year, you know, Indiana lost 5 one-score games. And, you know, I mean, it was only 3 years ago that Indiana's touchdown away from winning Big Ten. But, you know, today that feels like decades ago, you know, in this day and age, I want it now. society we live in. So, people say it's a really hard job, impossible job. Well, hell, 3 years ago, they scored a touchdown, they win the Big Ten, right? So, we got a philosophy. It's worked. You got to always try to improve. You either get better or worse, never stay the same. That really is true. And a big part of my job is developing those intangibles in season that are going to kind of get you over the hump, because that margin of error for victory and defeat's about a quarter of an inch, and all of us coaches are looking for that edge. And we've done a good job in close games, and we'll see what happens this year.
I had a joy, Curt, in reading your bio and getting to know a little bit more about you. And you brought up your father, Frank, and he's a member in the College Football Hall of Fame. You mentioned Nick Saban worked for him. You worked for Nick Saban. You had the Saban conduit. But the field at Indiana University, Pennsylvania, is actually named after your dad. I imagine you have such great pride in what his legacy was. And I was curious if you could share what he's meant to you and what he's done for you.
Yeah. Well, I'm the oldest child. My younger brother has been in coaching a long time. There's two girls, too. He came up through the high school ranks. Back then, that's how a lot of guys kind of got to college. Dave Hart at Pitt. And was at Princeton, 69, 100th year of college football. Princeton Rutgers. Game was on national TV. And then went with Bowden in 70. Bobby took the head coaching job at West Virginia. And 71, he was his offense coordinator. I think receiver coach in 70. So I was always on the sideline and in the locker room at halftime listening to Bobby talk to the team. My dad was a roll up front guy. He didn't mince words. High character, great work ethic. The oldest, it's always tougher on the oldest. I probably he had a great influence on me as a person. Everybody's different. You get older, you got to find your way. I will tell you this. When I left Alabama, I was going to turn 50, right? And I was done being an assistant coach. I was just done. And, I bet on myself, and I took the IUP job, right? Now, when he was there, they were awesome. And then the budget got cut, and the budget was about 1/3 of what it was when he was there. And they were bad. And I didn't tell him that I was taking the job. He didn't know I was involved. I wasn't involved until about 3 days before the announcement. I didn't call him till the night before, because he was never afraid to tell me, something I didn't want to hear. And the field is named after him. But my second year, I had to throw him off the field because in team run, I just didn't like the body language.
That is so funny.
Awesome.
So, Curt, before you go, the Indiana football team, when they take the field, can you just kind of give us your style of play?
Fast, physical, relentless, smart, disciplined, poised. Schemes change. Offensively, our last four quarterbacks have been player of the year in the league. They all had their skeptics, and they were all different. And we're normally at the top of the league in points or second. Turnover ratio with number one usually. When I went to JMU, they were like the old Oakland Raiders, Mel Davis, heavily penalized, won a lot of games, but heavily penalized on this. We were number one, least amount of penalties. And that kind. Defensively, we are normally 1 or 2 against the run, top 5 sacks, TFLs, and have played great defense, attacking style defense, keep people off balance, and our teams have been pretty good. So that's been the style of play. That's what we're trying to get these guys to do, and we'll see what happens.
I love the dad story. I just love the dad story. I hope you have a great season. Thank you so much, Curt.
Appreciate it, guys.
Indiana head football coach Curt Cignetti. I still can't believe Donnie threw his dad off the sideline. I still can't believe he did that.
And a field where he's named after it. The dad is. I mean, it's just remarkable, really. And you know what? It's funny listening back to the interview, Will, and I remember as Curt Cignetti walked away, you and I then were talking on the air a little bit about the interview and what our thoughts were. You kind of asked me what I thought, and I said, well, that's the most confident I've ever heard anybody be in anything, any shape or any form of life. I don't know what that means for Indiana football. That was almost a direct quote of what I said. I mean, Indiana doesn't win in football. It's a program that does not win. I don't know what that means or how this plays out, but the confidence was unparalleled. Now we see how it's played out.
Google me.
That's right.
All you got to do. Well, they've had a great run, and good for them. Well, when we come back with more of the Sports Life, we're going to talk about more Indiana football. The last time Indiana won the outright championship was in 1945. And we're going to talk to somebody that knows all about it in just a moment.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Dad. Did you get a new haircut or something? A new shirt? You're looking good.
What happened?
A little fender bender?
How little?
A few days in the shop little. But thanks to Mom and our agent, we've already submitted a claim and can track the status right from the app. Auto Owners pays what they owe without any hassle.
Sounds like simple human sense.
I'm fine, by the way.
Oh, yeah, I was going to ask.
Ask your independent agent if Auto Owners makes sense for you.
This is a potter's field. When people can't pay for their funerals, they are buried here. It is a lonely, desolate place, littered with unmarked headstones. No one visits. No one leaves flowers. But it doesn't have to be that way. For as low as $1 a day, you can ensure your family will have the money to pay your funeral expenses. We offer burial insurance plans that pay up to $30,000. Considering the average funeral costs more than $10,000, that's peace of mind for your family. There are no medical exams, your rates won't increase, and your policy cannot be canceled as long as you make your premium payments. Call now to get approved in minutes and ensure your final resting place is more than just a pauper's grave in a potter's field.
800-562-2407. 800-562-2407. 800-562-2407. That's 800-562-2407. Paid for by Final Expense Direct.
We all make choices about alcohol. Kids make choices whether to drink or not.
Bye, Dad. Remember, I'm going to Alex's party tonight and sleeping over.
Hey, remind me about that party again?
And adults make choices whether to talk about it. That's true of parents and every other trusted adult in a kid's life. Kids want to know our expectations, and they want honest answers in everyday conversations. So talk with your kids and help lead them on a positive path, because when you talk, they hear you. Learn more at underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
We'll be back with more in a moment. This is The Sports Life.
Here's a real-life story that affects 50% of all of us out there. It's called divorce. If you've gotten divorced and now you're struggling to pay your bills and your credit card debts are completely out of control, you need to call this special debt relief hotline right now. We help people with all kinds of money problems caused by different life challenges, a divorce, a job loss, even heavy medical bills. All these life events can sometimes financially stress you out and cause you to get out of control. We help people get their lives back by showing them ways to consolidate and reduce their debt, in some cases for a fraction of what they owe. If your credit card balances are more than $10,000, call us and learn how to reduce your credit card bills and monthly payments now. Here's our number.
Paid for by Debt.com. Call now, 800-810-1584, 800-810-1584, 800-810-1584. That's 800-810-1584.
And welcome back for more of the Sports Life. Will Teeman here along with Dalton Shetler. Well, the show this week definitely has an Indiana flavor to it. And we've been talking a lot about the current team, a little tribute to Bobby Knight. That was kind of fun. Mm-hmm. But what about the 1945 team, the last team until this year to win the Big Ten outright? 1945. Well, Mark Deal, who played for the Hoosiers from 75 to 78 as an offensive lineman, and now works for the university as an assistant athletic director for Alumni Relations. His father was on that team. His father was an All-American and a team captain. So we got together with Mark and we asked him if he could tell us a little bit about that 1945 team for Indiana that won the Big Ten.
Absolutely. I know a lot about that team, having grown up
with that team, and a lot of those men, obviously very good friends with my father, and many of them in our house at different times in Hobart, Indiana, and Northwest Indiana, when they would be in the Chicago area and stop by. It was a team that was really a mix, because you had young players that were just coming there as maybe freshmen and sophomores, and you had a group that were had been away, like my father, in World War II and in the Army or Navy or whatever forces they were serving in for the United States. And the war had just ended, and so it was kind of different. Obviously, it was an all civilian team. There was not one of these factories like Army and Navy were, where they got players from different schools, or some of these fort schools that had basically all-star teams. So these were true IU students that were playing on that team back then.
Why do you think it took so long, Mark, for Indiana? I mean, 45, you're the champ, and then it was 67. What happened there?
There's a lot of reasons. I'll give you one that people don't know about. The 1945 team was undefeated, 9-0-1, and they set a record that I'm sure will never be surpassed in Big Ten history. Starting in 1925, I believe it was, the Big Ten went to a mandatory 6-game schedule where you played 5 or 6 games in the Big Ten. And if you look up the Big Ten champions in different eras before 1925, they just went by winning percentage. There was one year in the teens, and I don't know what school it was, but they were tied for Big Ten champions because they were 1-0 in the Big Ten. So they put in a rule where you played those different games. You had to play 6 games, and that went on from 1945 all the way until they moved it to 7 in the 1960s sometime. So they were playing 6 Big Ten games. Well, the 1945 team that went undefeated and won the Big Ten championship hold the distinction, and I looked this up as well. They're the only team to win a Big Ten football championship that played one home Big Ten football game in 1945, and that was the last game of the year against Purdue. Every other game they played on the road. They played at Michigan, won 13-7. They played at Northwestern. That was the only non-win where they tied them 7-7. They played at Illinois. They won 6-0. They played at Iowa, where they won, I think it was 52-20. They played at Minnesota. They won 49-0. So they played all those games on the road, and then they finally got to play at home against Purdue. Their Big Ten home opener was the final game of the year. I don't think anybody, has had to go through that kind of schedule and win a Big Ten champ. Nobody has. I know they haven't. So that's quite a feat that they did and accomplished. And you say why it went from 45 to till 67? Well, that was something that I knew. I always knew that I always played one game. I said, why was that? Well, in that period, teams, Indiana, the most games, what was it from? I looked the exact one up, but Indiana only played 1 or 2 home games every year for a period of about 25 years up until the 1960s. They were only playing 2 home Big Ten games. The rest of them were on the road. And part of it was I don't know why, Michigan from I do know this, From 1900, when Indiana first played Michigan, until 1959, Michigan came to Bloomington 3 times: 1900, 1932, and 1959. Every other game when Indiana played Michigan, it was in Ann Arbor. So these teams just said, well, we're not going to Bloomington. And they didn't. And the Big Ten didn't make them. So, they're behind the 8 ball to start with that, just because of that. So, it's hard to win a Big Ten championship when you don't get any home games in a Big Ten. So it's just the way it was. But it was, it's unfortunate, but I think that's a credit to how great that 1945 team was, and some unbelievably great players too. 2 college football Hall of Famers on the team, in Pete Pihos and George Taliaferro, and coached by a college football Hall of Fame coach in Bo McMillan.
Well, great in so many ways too, because I want to ask you, Mark, about your dad, Russ. You mentioned that this is 1945 and World War II is going on, and everything that kind of encapsulates or comes with that. Trying to explain to somebody, maybe like a player now in that Indiana locker room, like, hey, the first Big Ten title, that team was also fighting in a war. Like when they came back and won the Big Ten championship. Like for people who cannot relate or cannot comprehend what that was like, what did your dad Russ go through with that whole time period?
My dad played in 40, 41, and 42. And then after the 42 season, in which they were really good, they had a really good team, 7-3. He got drafted and went into the Army and served in 43, 44, and 45. My dad was discharged from the Army on September 1st, 1945. And a week later, he joined practice, came back to Bloomington, joined practice. So my dad, he wanted to come back because he'd already been drafted in the NFL by the Green Bay Packers, but he'd only been to, he had 2.5 semesters that he wanted to get his degree. And so he came back and joined the team. They had already started practice, and he practiced 2 weeks and then played all 60 minutes, and they beat Michigan 13-7. He hadn't played a football game in 3 years. He played both ways. They all played both ways then, because it was, it wasn't 2-platoon football. And he played offensive tackle and defensive end. But all the players that he came back to play with, he didn't know any of them, because none of them were back yet. The guys that he had played with before were either still in the Army or they had graduated. And then the following week, which really made the season, Pete Pihos, who's the only IU player to be in the College Football Hall of Fame and the Pro Football Hall of Fame, he and Howard Brown, who was the great Howard Brown, who was a longtime coach, longtime player here, and just Mr. Indiana for sure. Howard Brown both received a leave. They weren't discharged. They received a 90-day leave that they could come back, enter school, and play, even though they were still in the Army. Well, Pihos was like I said, he was an All-American in 1943 at end, and then they moved him to fullback because Indiana had 2 great ends, and Howard Brown was a great player too, and became an All-American as well. So that solidified the team. But those new guys that my dad played with, the 2 ends were Bob Ravensburg, who was a first-team All-American, played for the Chicago Cardinals, great player, and the other end was way more famous in baseball, but a great football player, was Ted Kluszewski, who became lifetime 300 hitter, Cincinnati Reds, one of the great players of all time in baseball. In fact, they have a statue of him outside whatever it's called, New Riverfront Stadium. I know I'm saying the wrong thing. I don't know what it's called there at Cincinnati now, but there's a statue of Klue outside there. So this was a really good football team in 1945. And then you had George Taliaferro, who was a 3-time All-American and just one of the greatest players ever at Indiana, first black drafted in the NFL. It was a really good football team, and they gelled. But my dad had played with Pijos. He had played with Howard Brown, obviously, and some others then came back that were in the service that really helped that team to beat everybody. And they beat Michigan in the first game. Michigan ended up ranked 6th. There were no preseason rankings. They beat them 13-7 in that first game, and they finished. They beat Tulsa, who was ranked 14th and who was a great Tulsa team at that time. They had been to the Orange Bowl the year before and been to Sugar Bowls and New Year's Day bowl games 3 straight years. Who were ranked 14th, and then Minnesota, who was a perennial power, they were ranked in the top 20, and then Purdue was 18th at the end of the year. So they played a really good schedule, 4 ranked teams, and only got one of them their Big Ten at home, and that was against Purdue.
Take care, Mark.
Thank you, Will. I appreciate you.
It's always fun to talk to Mark, and Dalton, isn't it amazing? He is a walking encyclopedia about Indiana football. He just is.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, we talked about 45. You want to we just talked about 45. I bet he could talk about 58, 63, all those years. But he's got it all in his noodle, and he's just a wonderful ambassador for the university. Well, when we come back, more Indiana flavor. The 1976 Indiana basketball team did something that nobody has done since. Back with that story in just a moment.
So, got one for you, boss.
Oh, yeah?
What's black, white, and dented all over?
I give up.
The company truck. I know, but thanks to our agent, we've already submitted an insurance claim and can track the status right from the app. Auto owners pays what they owe without any hassle.
Lucky for you, that's simple human sense.
Ask your independent agent if auto owners make sense for you.
If you served honorably in our nation's armed forces and you're looking for a way to continue serving your fellow veterans in your community, then join AMVETS. AMVETS members volunteer millions of hours at VA healthcare facilities from coast to coast, helping to improve the lives of their fellow veterans through the VA Voluntary Services Program. AMVETS posts and departments also participate in a wide variety of community service projects. If you no longer wear the uniform today, you can still serve through the AMVETS by joining today at amvets.org.
Do you hear that? That's the sound of uncertainty lurking under your hood. You know the feeling. I know I do. That sudden sinking sensation when you see a check engine light or your car unexpectedly breaks down and you're faced with sky-high repair bills. It's time to shield against unexpected repairs with CarShield. CarShield is America's most trusted auto protection company and has an A rating with the Better Business Bureau. Don't let the fear of a breakdown keep you up at night. Trust the Shield, CarShield, and say goodbye to terrifying repair bills and hello to peace of mind. Your plan also comes with 24/7 roadside assistance, courtesy towing, rental car options, and so much more. Don't wait till it's too late. Call CarShield now before a breakdown. Protect your wallet. Protect your car with CarShield. Get our best protection ever. Call now. You'll thank me later. 800-965-1292. 800-965-1292. That's 800-965-1292.
We'll be back with more in a moment. This is The Sports Life.
Did you receive a call or message that mentioned Social Security and demanded immediate action? Did the caller know your Social Security number or other personal information and tell you that your Social Security number had been used in connection with the crime? Did you feel worried that your Social Security number might be suspended, your bank account might be frozen or seized, or you could be arrested? That is not the Social Security Administration. Social Security will not threaten you, demand your personal information, or instant payment, email or text you pictures or documents, or use a real government official's name to gain your trust. Social Security does not accept payments by gift card, prepaid debit card, internet currency, or by mailing cash. Criminals use these forms of payment because they are hard to trace. Do not be fooled. Hang up. Ignore them. Report this criminal activity to the Social Security Administration Office of the Inspector General at oig.ssa.gov.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
And welcome back for more of the Sports Life. Will Tiemann here along with Dalton Shetler. Well, one of the great things about sports is greatness never gets old. It's always fun to relive it. 1976 in college basketball gave us something we may never, ever see again. A team that would win the national championship and win every game from point one to the end of the road. And that's being Indiana.
Yeah, that's most certainly right. And we actually, a couple years back here on this show, The Sports Life, we uncovered a bit more about that 1976 undefeated team and what went into making them so special. We actually did this when Gonzaga was threatening that mark. If you remember, Gonzaga went undefeated in the regular season, got into the NCAA tournament. As it would eventually play out, they would lose to Baylor in the national championship game in 2021. But at the time, there was discussion and comparison between those two squads, and that's actually where we start with the feature by talking with the legendary Indiana basketball writer, Bob Hamill.
They're talking about this current Gonzaga team, which is a real threat to be that first unbeaten champion since Indiana, as having three guys that are high draft picks. Well, that Indiana team had three of their four seniors. Three were taken at the first 11 picks of the draft, and the one junior starter, Ken Benson, was the number one pick of the next draft. And in the following season, NBA season, the first time it could happen, all five of the Indiana starters started for their NBA team in the opening game. So that's how good that talent was. And Bob Knight's coaching didn't hurt it either. So that was just a powerhouse team that remains the best team I've ever seen. And when Kentucky came close a few years ago, got to the Final Four and defeated somebody from CBS, called me and we were talking about. He said, "Well, you'd have to admit it, but it's much more difficult to do it now." And I said, "I don't think so." But if you go back and look at the tournament route that Indiana took, there was no seeding in. So they started out against St. John's, which would have been the Big East champ. There wasn't a Big East yet, but they were the best team in the East. Then they played in the their second game in the NCAA tournament was against the SEC champion Alabama, which was number 5 ranked. Their third game was against the number 2 team, Marquette, which had lost only one game, and that was to Minnesota with the Big Ten. So today, an unbeaten team would not really run into anything close to that kind of a tournament schedule beyond having to survive the Big Ten schedule.
And that takes us to this week's cover story. A salute to the last NCAA D1 basketball team to go undefeated and win the national championship, the 1976 Indiana Hoosiers. To understand that historic team, you have to go back to the year before, where the foundation was laid, says the voice of the Indiana Hoosiers for the past 48 years, Don Fisher.
Without question, the 31-1 season was disappointing because that team felt like they were capable of winning the national championship. And they did. They had the capabilities. But Scott May, one of their stars in that particular ball club, he was a junior at the time and the second leading scorer on the team, he got hurt in the Purdue game leading up to tournament play. And that was about, maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks before. He broke his arm, and he did try to come back, but he was not very comfortable with it. He didn't play very well in that last game that they got beaten by Kentucky, and that was also a sore spot for any Indiana fan because Indiana and Kentucky were such great arch rivals. But all that said, there was a belief that team did not accomplish what they had set out to do. And this team, going into the 76 season, was bound to determine that wasn't going to happen again, that they were going to win a national title. That was the feeling. That was the belief so strong under Bob Knight that this team was capable and were going to win a national championship. And that's the feeling you went into the season with, that this team was good enough, and they believed in themselves to the point where you weren't going to beat them.
Not only were you not going to beat them to a title, but you weren't going to beat them in a single game. That's the goal that was put before that team, before that historic campaign, says Bob Hamill.
That was what Bob Knight gathered them together before the season even started. He said that this will not be a successful season unless you go undefeated. He always, the target always in the Knight era was the Big Ten championship. They never talked NCAA championship. They always talked Big Ten championship. that was the one year the target was not just winning the national championship, the target was going undefeated.
Fast forward past 31 wins, and Indiana would head to the national championship game to take on Michigan for the third time that season, after a previous overtime thriller between the two in Bloomington that IU would claim. Now, for the third time and for the title, on March 29th, 1976, it would be the Hoosiers and the Wolverines.
And Indiana, it will not be deprived of the finals this year. They are in the final ball game. Indiana and Michigan, it's all Big Ten.
Well, the first thing you remember is that early on in the ball game, Bobby Wilkerson went down. He was playing on defense, and he went down and he got hit.
Knocked away, Grody on the steal. Steve Grody on the break, 2-on-2. Grody back inside of Britt, shot good. Wayman Britt got his first bucket of the game. And Bob Wortman, the official, talking with Bobby Knight now. Indiana's player was down, and Bobby wanted to know why something hadn't been done. And it's Bobby Wilkerson, and he is shaken up on the play.
And he went to the floor, and the play stopped. And Wilkerson was actually taken off the floor on a stretcher.
And lo and behold, the first couple minutes, I get accidentally hit with an elbow, and I'm knocked out. So I don't see none of the game, and I don't see nothing. I've never seen the game, and all I know is that Coach Knight and John Havlicek came in the locker room after the game and said that we had won to the hospital, and that's all I remember.
Michigan had a 35-29 lead at the halftime, and Indiana had lost Wilkerson. He had a severe concussion. He was an inch or so away from perhaps killing him. It was a very, very bad injury, and breaking up that combination of Buckner Wilkerson was an enormous problem, and but they adjusted and wound up playing the best second half that I've ever seen in a championship game.
Fires to Jimmy Wishman. Wishman brings it outside, spins around, dribbling across the key, tries to penetrate, can't, gives to Benson, turnaround jumper by Benny, is good! Ted Benson has got 18. 45-43, and Indiana's taking the lead by 2. Grody driving to the right side. Buckner's field. He's on a breakaway. Drives down. Puts it up. Scores! When Buckner now with 8, and Indiana takes a 4-point lead.
They outscored Michigan 57-33, and 57 is still the NCAA tournament record for a point and a half of the championship game, either first or second. And that's by a team that was known for defense, not offense. But with all the pressure on, all the unbeaten season, the national championship on the line, that's how well they played down the stretch.
Baxter flies down the other end, fires a jumper, no good, and Benson rebounds. Up toward Abernathy. Abernathy, he's got a breakaway. Drive, shoots, scores! Scotty Mays has got 24, and Indiana leads by 12. Buckner driving across one man, brings it back outside. Fires to Jimmy Wishman. Wishman now looks for help. Now turns around and bounces to Quinn Buckner. Buckner driving toward the lane. Underneath, puts it up, scores! Buckner scores right down the pipe. He's got 16. 10 seconds. Baxter almost lost it. Here's Fishing on the dribble. Baxter down the right side. Lost the ball. Balavic is on the steal. Bradford on a break. 5 seconds. Field drive. Shoots it up. And Benson. Here's Hamlin scores again. Indiana's number 1. They've won it. Indiana's won it. They're the national champions for 1976. Can you believe it? Incredible. Bobby Knight and Johnny Orr standing here in front of us, shaking hands. Bill Frieder now. Unbelievable, as Indiana's won the national championship, and the Hoosiers have won it all, 86-68.
All I know is that these guys believed that they were going to win a national championship, and they believed that from the very beginning of the year. There was this will to do so, and it was a fierce will, and it was because they had felt like they had kind of gotten robbed from the year before based on the injury to Scott May. So there was just a will about these guys. You could feel it. You could taste it almost. If you were around the team, and we were around the team a lot, you just knew that there was a confidence level. It wasn't arrogance. It was a confidence level that Bob Knight had instilled in these guys, that they were good enough. They should have won it the year before. We're going to prove that was not a fluke, that Indiana's going to win a national championship.
Don Fisher on the call 45 years ago as he reflects on the team there. Scott May led the way for Indiana as he would finish with 26 points and was elated afterwards.
I am. Right now, I'm so happy I don't know what to do. I could cry, I guess. I really could. It's kind of hard to believe, you know. We put in 4 years of good hard work, and it finally paid off for us. What better way can you go out, end your career by winning the national championship? I'm really happy. I really am.
The captain, Quinn Buckner, chipped in 16 points in these comments.
I just think it's the greatest thing that's happened to me probably since I've been living, and I just want to thank everybody at IU, fans and the coaching staff that I was able to be a part of it.
Finally, here was Indiana head coach Bob Knight after the game.
I'm very grateful that we had an opportunity to play in this game tonight, and very pleased that we won it from two standpoints. From the standpoint of our players, I don't think there's a group that's worked harder in the country than our kids have. We were disappointed last year. We had the same goal last year that we had this year. So this has been kind of a 2-year quest for us to get this thing done. They've stuck with it. And then secondly, I feel very, very pleased that the people that have invested time and thought and effort and parts of themselves in this team were rewarded with the game tonight.
But he wouldn't be done there. Bob Hamill has a vivid memory from after Bob Knight's first national championship in 1976.
They beat Michigan to win the championship. That's Bob's first. And there's just pandemonium in the locker room afterwards, and I have to do my interviewing and all those things. And that I was at the same hotel they were, so I was going back to the team bus to go to the hotel as we left the Spectrum in Philadelphia. And Bob is right behind me. He and John Havlicek left, did not go back with the team. They went back to Mitty to the hospital with books to see how that was going, because that was his first concern at that point. So I knew I was not going to see him again. I just kind of turned around and said, it dawned on me, here's this guy's first national championship. We haven't even talked about it. I put a hand out and I said, by the way, congratulations. and he took the hand and he kind of looked over my shoulder. He's behind me and he says, thanks, but it should have been two.
Well, when Bob Hamill says Coach Knight said it should have been two, he's right. I mean, he's absolutely right. And who can imagine that? If Scotty May doesn't break his wrist, I think, in what would have been an undefeated possible in national championship season for Indiana the year before, can you imagine at that level running the table back-to-back years?
I mean, there's a reason that very few teams have ever done it, and that just would have added on. I mean, here, since Bob Knight has passed away, we've continued to look at the legacy, and not that you ever forget the winning he's done, but when you keep re-examining it, you're like, oh my goodness, what he was able to accomplish. And if you add a back-to-back in the mix of that, I mean, it's just incredible what he did.
Well, but he did it in 1976, and we may never see it again. Back with parting shots in just a moment.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Dad, did you get a new haircut or something? A new shirt? You're looking good.
What happened?
A little fender bender?
How little?
A few days in the shop little, but thanks to Mom and our agent, we've already submitted a claim and can track the status right from the app. Auto Owners pays what they owe without any hassle.
Sounds like simple human sense.
I'm fine, by the way.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna ask.
Ask your independent agent if Auto Owners makes sense for you.
Everything is expensive right now. Gas, food, you name it. You're spending more, you are making the same or less money. So, what do? You rack up credit card debt, that's what you do. It's not your fault. It's the economy. And guess what? If you rack up too much credit card debt like some of us, you can't pay your bills. Then the credit card companies, as nice as they are, start hounding you for money. Then you start your downward spiral. A smart thing for you to do is to call the Zero Debt. They can help you consolidate all your credit card bills into one affordable payment. Millions of people have done it. It works to make you debt-free. Make this free call right now. It costs you nothing to learn more.
800-298-9093. 800-298-9093. 800-298-9093. That's 800-298-9093.
We are strong, we are resilient, and we will get through this together. But these are stressful times, and it's important to also practice good self-care. It's normal to feel overwhelmed, anxious, or afraid, but there is hope. Reach out to someone. Connect with your friends. Stay in touch with your community and know that you are not alone. Learn more at wearebroadcasters.com/hope. Furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
We'll be back with more in a moment. This is The Sports Life.
I found hope in the midst of an overwhelming situation.
Alcoholism is a disease that can affect any family. Everyone suffers, but there is help and hope at Al-Anon Family Groups.
Al-Anon gave me my life back. I'm a better father and husband.
Are you in an overwhelming situation because of someone else's drinking? Al-Anon and Alateen can help. Local and virtual meetings are available. Maybe one could work for you. Call 1-866-200-0033 or visit alanon.org/hope.
I'm Naheem Hines, professional football player. No matter the challenges I face every day in the NFL, my mom is always there for me, despite her own struggles with muscular dystrophy. And MDA is there for my mom. At their 150 care centers across the U.S., MDA is the leading organization in research and care for kids and adults with muscular dystrophy, ALS, and related neuromuscular diseases. Join me and learn more at helpmda.org today. Thank you.
Welcome back for more of The Sports Life. And Dalton, I never thought we'd do a whole show in Indiana, but we did. It was a lot of fun going down memory lane in some cases and talking about current things in others. So we have now worked our way to our parting shot. So what do you got?
From my parting shot, and matter of fact, yours as well, we're doing a bit of a theme here with the New Year's resolutions. What are our Big Ten New Year's resolutions? And by the way, if you missed our All Indiana show, make sure you give us a follow at Sports Life Now on Twitter or X. You'll be able to hear every piece of the Hoosiers there at Sports Life Now. For my Big Ten New Year resolution, I'm taking a look at some of the times that we've seen here. Now, look, a couple of weeks ago, matter of fact, we were joined by Bill Bender on this show, and we were talking about that USC-Michigan State game earlier in the year that kicked off at 11 o'clock Eastern time out on the West Coast. My New Year's resolution is, look, I get everything centers around TV nowadays, but can we do away with some of these games that keep us up till 2 or 3 in the morning for sports games? Can we find a way to make this make a little bit more sense when it comes to the timing of things? If you talk with West Coast schools, they're pretty upset too with this basketball year. A lot of them are coming back playing the second part of their 2-game road trip swing in the middle of the week. And during the middle of the week, it's tipping off at about 8 o'clock Eastern. They don't get back all the way back home until after that, and they have class and everything else. It's pretty brutal. So, game times. Let's make game times a little bit more realistic and appropriate in the future.
Sign me up. Sign me up for that one. Well, mine is about officiating, and it's really a simple one. My hope, which is my resolution, my hope is that as we move into the new year, since we're kind of involved in basketball, we'll talk about basketball officials, that in the end of this basketball season, that they call what they see, not what they think they see. That's my resolution.
Good one.
So with that, that's a wrap for our show. Hope everybody enjoyed it. And we should also note that you can find us wherever you find your podcasts, like SoundCloud, Spotify, and Apple. And make sure to check us out and hit subscribe. As always, thanks to the Big Ten Network. The Sports Life is produced by Dalton Shetler. Our executive producer is Wendy Hart. So on behalf of Dalton, I'm Will Tiemann, and thanks for your time.